Based on the Shadow Man comic book series published by Valiant Comics, Shadow Man was an action-adventure game developed and published by Acclaim. It was released in 1999 on PC, PlayStation, Nintendo 64 and Dreamcast. Now, depending upon what version you played, you will either have good or bad memories of this game. If you only ever played the PS1 version, for example, that is a real shame, as the game was just too much for the console to handle and played like crap. The Nintendo 64 version was decent, but if you really wanted to experience Shadow Man in all its glory, you had to play either the PC or Dreamcast versions. Regardless, the multi-console release and popularity of the game overall saw it get a sequel called Shadow Man Second Coming in 2002 on the PlayStation 2. Nobody cared, and that was it for the short-lived franchise. That was until Night Dive Studios came along and decided to re-release the game in 2013 on PC. Seemingly buoyed by its renewed popularity, they then set about developing a remaster of the game, which has finally seen the light of day as of early 2021 on PC. Console players have had to wait a little while longer, but finally, as of January 2022, it has now been released on all modern consoles. Now, remastering of old games is 10 a penny these days, and the results can be mixed. For every good one, there is a bad one. Ones that feel like complete overhauls are ones that do the bare minimum with nothing more than a graphical upgrade to hang its hat on. So which camp does Shadow Man Remastered find itself in? Well, when the list of what's different in this remastering includes 4K resolution, improved shadow mapping, per pixel lighting, missing content, then you know you're onto a good thing. We'll explain more about that in a bit, but first, the story and gameplay.
The end is sooner than you think.
Come to mama, baby.
Hey there, cat
Touch me if you
cadet.
can.
Damn, beautiful thing.
There's a darkness coming.
Michael Loire is the current iteration of the Shadow Man, a voodoo warrior who protects the land of the living, called Lifeside, from the threats of the land of the dead, called Deadside. Thanks to the Mask of Shadows that is knitted into his ribs, Michael has powers that allow him to deal with most threats in Deadside. However, a new threat has arisen that will test his abilities to the maximum. A threat that threatens to bring about the apocalypse, an apocalypse that has been foretold in prophecy. A being known as Legion has gathered 5 of the world's most dangerous serial killers and used them to construct a towering asylum in Deadside. There he is gathering all forces of darkness that reside in Deadside, planning to implant them with fabled dark souls. Once done, he will be able to send them over to Lifeside and bring about the end times. Michael will have to traverse every corner of Deadside to find the dark souls, then deal with the 5 and defeat Legion before he can enact his evil plan. It is a fantastic story that feels suitably epic but also has character-based depth too. This is a standalone story that satisfies while paying tribute to the comic books that inspired it. Michael Loire is both endearing and dramatic. His personal drama fits him perfectly with his Harbinger of Souls persona. He's a character most will enjoy taking control of, backed up with a strong set of side characters like Nettie and Jaunty. It was a great story in 1999 and it is a great story in 2022.
Luke!
You gotta help me, Mikey. They're gonna hurt me.
It's okay, Luke. I'm here now. Stay there. I'm coming to get you.
I'm real scared, Mikey. You gotta help me. Please.
Luke! Come back! Luke!
There are no complaints to be had there. But what about gameplay? The original game provided a solid mix of action, adventure and combat, but had its flaws. This remastering is pretty much the same, albeit with a tighter control system and small but notable changes to the UI. As Shadow Man, you can run, jump, duck, dodge, strafe, swim and shoot, all necessary tools at his disposal, as Deadside is a maze-like place filled with all manner of enemies trying to take Michael down. The main weapon at your disposal is the Shadow Gun and is what most will use throughout. As you collect Dark Souls, you'll be able to charge your shots up too, making enemy battles that little bit easier. Along the way, a number of unique voodoo-style weapons that often double up as tools too can be found and used. Shadow Man allows you to double-wield weapons too for even more combat chaos. Although while holding two weapons, he'll be unable to do a lot of the platforming that is involved, which there is a lot of. You see, Shadow Man requires a ton of exploration with backtracking ingrained in it, thanks to important upgrades and the unlockable weapons and items. Areas are blocked off by soul gates that require you to have a certain number of Dark Souls to unlock. In addition, each area has secrets and different routes that require certain items to access. By the end of the game, you'll be a walking badass, with no area of the game off limits, provided you can actually remember where things were. Yes, one of the biggest complaints of the original game still exists here, and that is the lack of a map. Can't quite remember where you saw that elusive Dark Soul in the earlier part of the game? Get trekking and get looking. Unless your memories of this game are so strong, you can find your way with ease. Be prepared to be shocked though, as the aforementioned cut content being put back in has resulted in a lot of unexpected changes. Yes, even if you've played this game 100 times before, this remastering brings a ton of new reasons to play it again. Remember how several of the 5 serial killers are in prison, and you have to travel there to defeat them? Well, it turns out that only Victor Petrakian was supposed to be in prison, and his level is unchanged. However, Marco Cruz and Milton Pike, they both have their own areas to explore, and they are massive. If that wasn't enough, Avery Marks now jumps out and attacks you in the corridors of the disused Hotel 2. What about when you take the lift carriage from the Asylum Gateway to the Cathedral of Pain? Why are there 2 switches now? That is because the new switch takes you to the Experimentation Rooms, a brand new area in the Asylum that also might be one of the most frustrating to explore. Incredible changes, but we're only scratching the surface here. In addition, a fantastic soundtrack has been completely remastered with new music and sound effects for the new levels. Cut, unused dialogue, animation and models have been put back in, auto-targeting is now a thing, some levels have been rearranged, new enemies have been introduced, and so much more. While the changes to gameplay and level design are so very notable, the other things worth talking about is the graphical update and improvements to the lighting. The former has a lovely HD texture, bear in mind this is a remaster and not a remake, but it allows you to switch between that and the original texture if you prefer. The latter enhances and makes previously hard to navigate levels so much easier. A great example being the area previously known as the Undercity, but given the new title Ophogometers here, a level that was a nightmare to explore because of the piss poor lighting. It's just one of so many improvements that make this the definitive version of Shadow Man to play. The time, love and care that Night Dive Studios have put in is clear, and the end result was a triumphant remastering. Shadow Man was always a good game, but this version can be called great.
Amen to that.
Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon to help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl, as well as Big Cartel, where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts, and of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal, what else is life for?